Hey YouTube, it's Andy, bringing you part 2 of the H&K Usp Compact 9mm review. And thanks guys so much for being patient with me and dealing with my speech impediments, my annoying so, like, but, all my weird speaking mannerisms. And this is my first time ever uploading videos to YouTube. So I do apologize as well for my first video being sideways. And I probably will change it in the future. Well, let's proceed. So like I said, Glock did go back to having no finger grooves, just like their late 80s models. And there's a lot to be said with that because if you look at a lot of our military pistols in the past, let's use the 1911, the P38, or the Luger in World War II. Also, the M9 Beretta or the CZ platforms that are pretty much modern now. Those all were straight right here with no finger grooves and also less canted like a Glock. And like I say, I think this is just a better system here because with this grip angle, it's so pointable. Wherever you point it, it hits the target. Like, look at my index finger. You just reach out and you point your index finger, wherever that lands, that bullet hits. I think that is excellent. Also, another thing with the grip is, right here you have these indentions, these recesses. That is so if you have sand in here or a double feed or something and you eject the magazine that way, that gives you a little spot to yank the mag out to really get a good surface on that lip and pull that out. Now Glock tried the same thing, but they put theirs on this side, which I don't think is very ergonomic. Now this magazine release, you're either going to love it or hate it. I love the European/German style because you can actuate it from either side. And it's kind of just this bar that goes across the bottom here. But I like to use my middle finger on the opposite side, or sometimes I use my thumb. But it really ejects the mag out of there too. That's another great thing about this pistol. Also, it's not necessarily funneled, but you can really get the mag in there. Like if you really got to do quick reloads, I've never had a problem getting it in there. And I think it's the way that this is just tapered. Also, let's make mention that this is kind of proprietary to H&K too, just the way they do their mags, is it's almost like welded together puzzle piece cut. That I know that makes it extra sturdy, so it can be ran over, slammed down, and it just never comes apart. These channels right here are military style, and they funnel out sand and debris and dirt, and that's great. This rubber butt pad, which is also kind of a finger extension, that's meant to protect it as it bounces off the ground, off the concrete or whatever. And it also increases the grip. It's not totally necessary most of the time, so some people put the flat base plate on there, which I might do, but it is nice to have that option. The trigger guard is way oversized, which I think is great and adds to the overall look of the pistol, which is beautiful. It is meant for cold weather operators wearing massive gloves in the Arctic temperatures. Also, let's make note of these little ridges right here. That is so you can wrap your index finger around here, and it can really help drop the muzzle down for recoil. As you'll see in my part 3 video, that'll be about 15 seconds of me rapid firing this at the range. I'm doing double taps and triple taps, and you'll notice that there's hardly any muzzle rise. And that's in part of the recoil reduction system, as I mentioned in part 1. It's just amazing. Really reduces recoil, and it says on H&K's website that takes away 300 newtons from the grip as it's being impacted. So it does make a difference, almost like 29 to 30% recoil reduction. This slide release, which there again, it is called a slide release, not like Glock's little tiny puny sheet metal that's real close to the slide. This thing actually releases the slide and you have plenty of surface area there. You see how it's designed? It's so beefy that it's never going to fail. It's also made out of like tool steel, some of the hardest steel there is. And see, there's a lot to be said with that too, because like on Glocks, they actually want you to, when the slide's back and the mag's empty and you slam a new mag in there, they actually, instead of using that, they want you to pull back like that. I mean, that's not intuitive. Nobody really wants to do that in combat, and that's because they're tiny tin sheet metal slide release, or slide stop they call it, I'm sorry. It'll rub the little insert area that's just like a flat angled thing. It'll put a little ridge in that, and it'll damage it to where it won't even work because it's so chintzy. But you see, this is all there, man. This is excellent, excellent. I love that. That's one of my favorite features besides my very favorite feature, which is the control lever. So this is really awesome. And this is my favorite way to do a pistol, and almost every pistol I own is like this. So you have a round in the chamber. You just shoved a mag in there. You just pulled the slide back. Let's say you want to carry it cocked and locked like a 1911. This is great for combat. So you put the safety up like that, and the hammer's back. So you will have a really light trigger pull. So you pull it out of the holster, you put your thumb down, you're ready to shoot, boom. I mean, you have a very accurate, easy to shoot shot. Let's go ahead, check the reset too. Very light and pretty short. It's pretty decent. Okay, now the next way is you just entered a round into the chamber. There's a full mag in there, and you just put a round in. Now you want to decock it. So it's pretty well safe now because you have a long, like 12-pound, hard trigger pull. And this is great if you think about it, because it gives you a little extra insurance. So if you pull it out and you're pointing it at a enemy, it gives you that extra time and that extra toughness as the hammer's going back there to be like, do I really want to take this life? So, and then finally, the safest way is to slam a mag in, put one in the chamber, then decock it, then put that up. I mean, there is no safer way to carry it than that. How can you get any safer than that? You have to pull it out of your holster, point it at somebody, and then long trigger pull. So that is what makes this so great. And another awesome thing about this is you can switch it to the other side. And there's several variants. There's an LEM version with it's like a short double action. It's like I don't know how to explain it. You'll have to look it up. There's also one where they put a little plate in there and it's just a decocker only, or vice versa. It's a safety only. So it's very versatile, and H&K wanted to make it that way for their operators, and especially ones that could be left-handed. I do love this cutout right here. I think that's really what makes it awesome. It kind of shines with the 90s for some reason. A lot of my pistols have that too. Like my SIG, for example, it's right over here. It has that cutout sort of right there in the slide. I just have always loved that. It reduces the weight. It kind of makes the slide cycle faster. It makes it easier to holster. One thing, before I forget to mention, is when the slide's back, you got a round in there, and then you do decock it, you have that option. See how the hammer now sticks out a little bit? Well, you can pull it out. You can pull it back and have yourself a more accurate shot if you don't want the long, heavy trigger pull that way. Yeah, so we did talk about this rail right here is proprietary to H&K and will only accept H&K accessories. Some people don't like that. I don't mind it. This extractor is super beefy, by the way. They do recommend not shooting steel cased ammo in there, which I know this thing, you can run it through hell and back. It's not really going to matter. Now, if you see a little bit of red right in there, they call that a loaded chamber indicator, but it doesn't really function as one, because when you put a round in there, it doesn't even protrude anymore, or if any, barely. Let's make mention that the HK right here, as well as these markings, are laser etched, and the USP Compact 9x19 chambering, that is engraved. The KIP in stands for it's going into the German house, proof house. The B stands for the number 1. The E stands for 4. And you'll have to look that up. H&K has their own numbering system. But that means that it was manufactured in 2014. So at the time of this video, it's 5 years old. The deer antler means that it got accepted by the German proof house, and everything is to spec. Everything is the way it should be, and it's ready to sell. This is the serial number, which is in 3 different spots. So there, and on the barrel. And that's the law in most European countries. The DE, I believe, stands for Deutschland, or I know it stands for it's made in Germany. Just trying to think of if I forgot anything. The sights are a combat style 3-dot. They are painted, so they're not luminescent or anything, but that's fine in a model for carry, in my opinion. Normally I have a little flashlight on me anyway, so if I need to see in the dark, and most of the time there's ambient light. Now, they do make a model with night sights, and I do believe they're true dots. Don't quote me on that, but they have tritium vials in the rear, and then this is like an illuminated front sight. But these work just fine for me, and I can change them out at any time. So yeah, this is my all-time favorite pistol. I appreciate you guys dealing with all my, like I said, all my issues with learning YouTube, and this is my first attempt, and stay tuned for part 3. Thank you very much.